Hi, I'm Bill,
And I'm Patrick.
and welcome to the first episode of Astro Chat. Patrick, why don't you give our audience a little idea of what Astro Chat is all about?
Well, hopefully it's going to be two guys and maybe a third, maybe a lady or another guy going to join us, co host. And we're going to have fun talking about Astro stuff, new gear, maybe interviewing some people and just having a good time talking about Astro stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. I know it's something that I wanted to do is to get to know other imagers, and I get a little taste of that through the two clubs that I belong to, but I, I really wanted to learn a little bit more about other imagers and what they're doing because there's so many different solutions out there that there's just, I think, a wealth of information. And you also mentioned when we were chatting earlier about people that may just be beginning in the journey. There might be some opportunity if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to get someone who is just starting out. They don't really have equipment yet. You know, they just started with using their cell phone, and to have someone, I mean, you and I, we've only been doing it for 2 years, but I mean, I think we have enough knowledge to where if we had someone come on, the questions that they would have as a beginner, I think we could definitely answer, get them started in the right path. So they're not buying a bunch of equipment that they don't need and just to get them started going the right direction.
Yeah, and I think if we could get a couple beginners onto the Astro chat with us, there's in my mind nothing better than a one-to-one or one-to-two, type of conversation. The forums are a good source of information, but sometimes the information transfer happens, I think, a lot better when it's more personalized, one-to-one or
Right.
small group having a conversation. So, yeah, I think this is where we reach out to you in the audience and ask you to participate and consider coming in and joining the chats from time to time. It'd be nice maybe to have a third host or have rotate in members from the astronomical imaging community into our
Right.
weekly podcasts and learn and share information. Absolutely. Maybe I'll tell a little bit about myself. As you mentioned, we've both been doing this for a couple of years. I'm up in Northern California, up in the San Mateo area, and I started with a Zenithstar Z61 and a monochrome camera and LRGB and narrowband filters because I was and still do live under Bortle 7/8 skies. So my understanding was shooting narrowband was the best opportunity I had to try to pull some good images out of a sky like this here. And recently, I've jumped on a learning curve again by buying a Celestron Edge HD 8. Another learning opportunity for me. How about a little bit about you there?
Yeah. See, I was one of those guys that kind of jumped in and got in way over my head way too early, and I was one of those guys. I got super frustrated because I couldn't. I started off with an Edge HD 9.25, and I mean, as you know, with that 8, it's difficult when you're shooting at that long focal length. I didn't have a reducer. I didn't even know what a reducer was, so I was shooting at the native length of what 2350. And it's just I didn't know what plate solving was. I didn't know anything. So just trying to find an object in the sky, it was really tough until I started reading stuff and then started learning about wide field, and then that's when I bought my Raptor, the 275, and it just changed the world. It just made things a whole lot easier shooting at that short focal length.
Yeah, I'm glad I started more on the wide end. I really wanted a Red Cat 51 when I started back in December 2019, January 2020, but there were none to be had. So I went up the next focal length to the William Optics Zenithstar 61 at 360 millimeter. So
Mm-hmm.
really, that made things a little bit easier for me while I'm learning about guiding and periodic error and all
Right.
these other things that
Right.
have to go along with trying to get some good data, and then there's the whole processing side of it. So I do think now, moving into my Edge HD8, I've got kind of like the training wheels underneath me, so I'm a little bit better
Right.
positioned to try to tackle the longer focal length. And of course, I decided to get the reducer, and I'm starting like at the 1422 to try to dial that
Mhm.
scope in. But
Oh yeah.
so you have multiple scopes, though, you were sharing.
Yes. So I have. So currently now I sold the Edge HD, which I almost regret selling it. I should have kept it, but I don't know. Another guy wanted it, and so I sold it to him anyway. So yeah. So I have my wide field, which is the Raptor 275. I also have a William Optics GT81, and now I have the one that I'm using now, which is the Stellar View SVX 102TR, the carbon fiber model. And I love it. That one, I'm using the reducer on that one, the 0.74 reducer, so it's down to 535 millimeters focal length, and I like it. And I've got that matched with the ASI 2600 because yeah, I like you. A lot of light pollution. I live just outside of Los Angeles. I'm at a Bortle 8.9, so shooting color is almost impossible. I wouldn't say it's impossible because everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, you can do it," but your image quality is not the same when you're shooting one shot color in a Bortle 8.9.
Yeah, that, yeah, you just kind of touched on an interesting thing as a beginner, and I consider myself kind of a second year beginner. If we sometimes say the wrong thing, people
Oh yeah.
kind of,
Oh yes.
and hey, I guess that goes with the territory, but
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
still learning and everything. So, um, a little bit about what we're trying to accomplish. We've chatted about, again, getting other people to participate in these podcasts, and you had an idea, maybe reaching out to a manufacturer that could help talk about the optics and those type of topics.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was because I'm using a Stellar View, and one of the reasons why I chose Stellar View is they have a pretty big image circle, and the camera I was using, which was another story. I have a 6200, which is the full frame, and finding a telescope with an image circle big enough to cover that full frame sensor is, unless you're spending a lot of money on like a Takahashi or something with bigger than a 43 millimeter image circle, you're going to have vignetting, and you'll notice it when you take your flats that your image circle is, doesn't cover the whole sensor. So yeah, I'd like to see how they go into manufacturing to get the image circle big enough. And is it the glass? Because to get your image circle 43 millimeters. So now the center of it, how do I explain it? Okay, so as the center, the light beams come in and they focus in the middle. Do they design it to be even across the whole sensor, or is it always going to be brighter in the center and then you have light fall off going out around the edges? I like to know how they design stuff to get the full image picture on the whole sensor.
Yeah, no, that'd be an interesting topic, and here's where the audience can participate in a sense that it'd be helpful to Patrick and I to understand what topics you might be interested in. So, in the future episodes, we could kind of line up the right resource to come in and kind of talk about that and share their knowledge and information. So, don't hesitate to put things in the comments on what you'd like to see and. What you're most interested in these days as far as topics. And another thought too is put in your Astrobin links. There's so many great photos up on Astrobin, and it's really great to have the ability to look at viewers who comment and then share their images as well through the Astro link. And then once you put that Astro link in the comments, then other people can look at them as well. So again, yeah, if you get the idea, we're trying to create a community, and kind of like we're chatting and sitting around, but yet we're all in different places. So but
Right.
through this, we can get in the same room and kind of chat about things, and just hopefully this becomes a source of both entertainment and
Right.
information. So it's kind
Yeah, I
of
mean,
the
if we
concept.
just hang out and just talk about Astro stuff, we don't have to get super in depth with like the Astro Imaging channel. If you want to get in depth on stuff, they really go in depth. They have the high profile people on there, but we could just chat with the normal people like us. The guys have been only doing it a couple years and
Yeah,
see
and
what they're
and
doing.
and your mention of the Astro Imaging channel is kind of a good point in that uh, people can come on and they can share what channels help them. Again, there's certain solutions that I'm running. So if I go to YouTube, I'm primarily looking for people that are using those same solutions to try to get some knowledge. But what I'd really like to do through this channel is broaden. Um, okay, so I use an Edge HD and Xenostar 61, but there's so many other
Right.
scopes. Would be great to learn from people that are using the various scopes, what they like, why they made those choices, how did they get involved with astronomical imaging, what do they see as their challenges. There's all these questions like
Right.
what what do you wish you knew that you didn't know in the beginning, all
Oh
that
man.
stuff.
Yeah.
And
I mean, image circle, pixel scale,
yeah,
resolution, all that stuff, matching a camera to a scope and back focus. There's so many
yeah.
things that you need. This hobby is so difficult. It makes you wonder why we even get in it in the first place.
Yeah, I think a question as people come on, maybe, what are the five things, if you were to have a conversation with a beginner, what are the five ideas you would give them maybe to get them up and running? I tell you, when I was doing my research, I kind of got lost. There was so much information,
Right.
and of course, different people learn in different ways, but I kind of like to get two or three or four ideas and then kind of work on that. And then, I start to build little islands of knowledge, and then I'm ready for a little bit more, information.
Right.
So
Right.
that'd be interesting to get a view of various from various imagers on what would they list as the most important three or four or five. I mean, everyone
Right.
says mount. I think that's a pretty common one.
Yeah. I mean that has to be probably one of the most important things is getting a good mount. Because
Yeah,
if you can't track across the sky, if you can't guide, I mean, man, your images aren't going to turn out. You're going to have star trails.
yeah.
So,
I think another important thing is set the right expectations. You
mhm.
have to be careful. If you spend too much time on cloudy nights, you've got some people on there that had really big budget dollars available to them. And of
Yeah.
course, they were able to
Yeah.
go in a certain direction, and as a result, their outcomes might be different than what you might be able to achieve with your smaller budget. But don't let that smaller budget stop you.
Right.
Just try and make the best decisions
Right.
you can with the budget dollars that you have, and set your um, expectations accordingly. And then, as if you stay committed to the hobby, then you'll know what you want to target for future expenditures, and have a better understanding why you want to target that as an expenditure to make an improvement or whatever. But yeah, there's
Right.
so many
Yeah.
things that
What's like the mount I think is the best mount for the money is the EQ6R Pro. There's you don't need to do hardly anything to it, and you can guide under 1 minute, under 1 second. And I mean it's you could spend $10,000 on a mount that'll get you a point 0.3 total RMS, but if your image scale is 1.5, you don't need to guide at point 0.3. You can guide at 1 and you'll get the same quality of image.
yeah, these are important things, and I don't know how much I focused on that in the beginning. But as I started to build some imaging underneath me, and started to collect data, and the data started looking good, then I started to be able to spend a little bit more time looking into those areas on what pixel scale is, and there's some great tools out there that you can use. Astronomy Tools
Oh
is an
yes.
excellent site for exploring things. So yeah, that's of course I'm partial to the EQ6R Pro 2,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
but I tell you my HEQ5 Pro with my Zenithstar Z61, that was a good pairing with
Yeah.
my 294 mm. That was a good pairing. So
So do you have the belt mod done to that one?
I do not have the belt mod done to that. I you know this in itself it could be an interesting topic as well. Clearly, there is a I don't know if it's a Rowan modification
Mhm.
that's available
Yes.
to do a modification, and then really what are the differences internally between like an HEQ5 and EQ6R, and what is that astrophysics or whatever? I don't know I forget
Yep.
something one. Is it tolerance of machining? So
Right. Right.
while I'm not going to spend $10,000 for a mount, or at least I don't see myself doing that, I would sure like to understand what are the differences
Right.
and and uh, and why those command the dollars that they command
Yep.
to
I know
purchase
it's
them.
something with the, what are they called? Something encoders, which I don't really even know what they are because I've never spent that much time learning about those because I don't have the need for one of those. So what are they
Yeah,
called? Indefinite or definite encoder, something like that. I don't remember what
yeah.
they're called.
I think there's stepping motors in there at least, but the encoders that yeah that I don't really I don't
Yep.
see. These are things that I am interested in, but being so busy with just what I'm trying to
Yeah.
accomplish with my two telescopes now, I don't take the
Yep.
time to delve into those
Exactly.
topics.
Yeah.
So if you're viewing this and you know the answers, consider coming on and chatting with us.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Hey,
so
we're always up to learning. If you ain't
that
learning, then
yeah.
what the heck?
I think that is for me was the attraction of this hobby was getting on a learning curve, um, and where I'd be challenged and I'd keep my brain busy and active, and so definitely it has turned out to be
Oh,
that way.
it could definitely be frustrating. There were many nights where I was pretty tempted to throw that telescope across the yard, but luckily I didn't. But yeah, I mean
Yeah.
now it's with using Nina, and my setup is on a pier in my backyard. It stays set up
Oh, that's nice.
24/7. So I mean I never take
Nice.
it down. It just stays under a Telegizmo 365 cover. So if I go outside and I see it's going to be clear, I could have a sequence ready to go and everything done within 10 minutes. And then I'm off to bed. I go to bed at between 8 and 9 o'clock every night and wake up at 4 in the morning and go to work. So my telescope works all night long using Nina, and get up in the morning. I go in, shut everything down, put the cover back in my scope, and go to work.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Nina. I've had a couple issues with it recently, but I'm not sure it was Nina. It could be my Nuke, my mini computer. So, uh, but I think this is another thing in talking with a person that may be new into the hobby is be prepared. You're going to
Yes.
have some nights,
Yes.
and they're
Yes.
not going to
Yes.
go as well as you might like. But the important thing is stick with it as long as you're having fun. I mean, I think
Right.
that's definitely what that's.
Yeah, you read those posts all the time. Oh, I wasted a whole night doing this. No, you didn't waste the whole night. You spent that night learning something. every
Great, yeah,
every problem that you come across, it's a learning experience, and hopefully you could pass that on to someone else who's having that same issue. Because I know there were many times I was getting on the Discord channel at 11 o'clock at night trying to figure out what the problem is so I wouldn't be wasting the night out there just fumbling around.
yeah, yeah. No, that's a good point. And to the extent we can bring some people in and have conversations about some current issues that they might be or challenges they're facing, and have some of those
Right.
discussions that could help clearly help others in the process. So All right. Well, we kicked off episode one.
Guys, the time already?
Yeah. Well, I
Jeez.
think we've been going a bit. We're going to try to do so. We could set some audience expectations.
Yeah.
Is we're going to try and keep these somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes.
Boy,
We're going
time
to
flies.
bring in some, try to make it topic based. But sometimes I think we're just going to be shooting the breeze, sharing stories, and through that process we learn from each other. So, we don't want really restrictive guardrails necessarily. It will be about astronomical imaging, but and then who knows, planetary. There are people that do planetary. I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, me neither.
So maybe a few come in, but we'll just have to see which way it goes. All right.
That's
Well,
right.
I think we kind of got one. We're about the 20-minute mark, so maybe for this one here being our first one, we'll kind of start to bring this to a close. And so the audience knows your likes and comments are very important to us. In particular, since we're prototyping this, and we want to provide some value, whether that be on the entertainment front or the information front. So let us know your thoughts. Give us some of your reactions. What would you like to see us do different? Again, this is only episode one, so
But you
But
know what? It's gonna be a blast doing this. Whether nobody watches it or not, I'm having fun anyway.
yeah, I mean, I have there's a few people that are, person down, like Simon down in
Mhm.
Australia, and Frank over in Belgium, and there's a lot of people around the world that it'd be fun to. I'd like to get someone from the UK because on my Flow app, I think it's called Clear Sky or something. It defaults to the UK, and almost every time I open it up, it's cloudy. So, you know, I feel pretty lucky being in Northern California. We have a reasonable number of clear nights, but some imagers, and I hang out on
Oh
Stargazers
man.
Lounge a lot, and that's kind of EU based, UK based. I don't know. Boy, I would be frustrated. But anyway,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts?
Man, I'm just looking forward to kicking this off, man. It's gonna be a blast.
I think we'll have some fun. And again, this where the audience is very important. Your comments and ideas on topics and suggestions are very important as we try to evolve from episode one. So
Right.
don't hold back. We're we're big boys. We can take the criticism
Yeah, yeah,
as
yeah,
well as the
absolutely.
compliments. So
Right?
so
Compliments are
if,
nice.
yeah, so if you like this kind of content, please give it a thumbs up. As always, like, share, and subscribe. Um, Other than that, wherever you may be in the world, uh, maybe we just say, see you next time. What do you think, Patrick?
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll see you next time.
See you next
See
time.
you
All
guys
right.
and
Thanks for
ladies.
dropping in.
Bye bye.